Hello, Internet! Welcome to episode 394 of the Assorted Calibers podcast, the second bit of podcast. There's a little bit for everyone. I'm Weird, and tonight we are having an ACP Round Table. Of course, I am joined by the greatest hostess of all time, Erin Paulette. How you doing, Erin?
I am no longer the greatest hostess of all time. I am now the radical pro-gender domestic terrorist as defined by the Trump administration.
Unfortunately true for the time being. Fingers crossed. And we will be talking about that more. And also, that might be the reason why we're having a roundtable. We're also joined by David.
Hello. And even though Erin is all those things she said, at least she's not a dirty Jew.
Half.
Yeah, but not practicing.
Does it matter?
I mean, yes and no.
As I like to say, I'm Jewish enough for the Nazis,
yes,
but not for
Jewish
the other
enough,
Jews.
Join me in the oven. This is true.
And of course, the ACP legal counsel, Oddball.
Go ahead, say it. You know you want to say it.
I am not a lawyer.
There you go. And I got roundtable bingo.
So did I.
Right.
I didn't want to interrupt, but I think it was pretty much simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was also asking about Xander's horrible jokes, because that would have given me another one. We are very entertaining.
The only thing that's missing in this show is the cigarette smoke for it to be a true bingo parlor. Though I'm going to imagine actually all the places that I used to work bingo halls are probably all now smoke free.
That doesn't seem right.
When I was with the fire department in New York, we used to host, I don't know if they do it again, but they used to host bingo, and then the clean indoor air passed, and all of the old women who would chain smoke while playing bingo basically said they were done, and that went away, which is too bad because it was a decent fundraiser. Yeah.
That's what I did. I did it with our band boosters would rent the bingo hall. I mean, I think it was like most like, I think it was Saturdays.
Oh,
and then I quickly learned, hey, a good chunk of my friends are going to be there on Saturday. So if I didn't have anything planned to do, I'd show up at the bingo call and they'd let me and let me go help. And I actually really enjoyed working at the bingo hall. But let's see. I mean, weekly stuff. I don't have. Well, the weather is spring has sprung here in Massachusetts, and I broke out my wind and air powered clothes dryer, as I like to refer to it.
It actually reached 90 here today.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to hit 90 tomorrow here.
And we're about to get I forget whether it's a low or a high pressure system. Whichever one that drops the temperature significantly is about to happen, possibly tomorrow.
And then, but of course, also for Memorial Day weekend, it's going to be. I guess it's going to drop down into chilly again, which is of course when we're going up with the with the Machad family to our place in New Hampshire. So it'd be nice if it was like today up there, but.
In New Hampshire, are you going to stop at the New Hampshire liquor store?
Oh, I suspect Ryan and I are going to walk to the New Hampshire State Liquor Store. There's one literally up the street from our place.
Yeah. Well, when you guys come down here, definitely want to take you to Total Wine and see what you think of it.
Yeah. I mean, we've got those around here too.
But David, I don't want to go to Total Wine.
We'll make reservations.
Erin, would you like a little cheese with that wine?
Oh, cheese.
I'm a dad.
I'm not whining. I'm complaining. This is whining.
Oh, that was almost like a feminine Tom Baker Davros. Do you remember the voice of Davros from the Tom Baker Doctor Who?
No.
I was just rewatching some of them, and when he got really excited, he would sound like he was whining.
But yeah, I was up in Maine, up at Maine this weekend to see my dad. Hadn't seen him in a while, and oh my gosh, he's come a long way, and he is lobbying hard for getting himself jailbroken out of the nursing home, and back to his place, which I'm not quite sure if he's ready right at this exact moment, but it may not be very long. He's using his right hand again. It's not doing a lot for him, but he is using it, and he can move his right leg. So that's been a big help for him standing and like moving between chairs and stuff like that. So it's going to be soon for him, and he'll feel a whole lot better to be back more in his regular environment. So yeah, that's us. Anybody else got anything exciting to talk about as a kind of a week in review?
Not exciting, but got a sick kitty.
Oh yeah.
Or Flynn has looks like a sinus infection.
Mm-hmm.
So got him on antibiotics, which he enjoys very much. I had to take him to the vet today, which he enjoyed very much. But
does he enjoy the vet?
No.
Okay.
He does not enjoy the being stuffed in a box. He does not enjoy being driven in the car. He does not enjoy being poked and prodded, especially the taking of the temperature, which I know is your favorite part, Weird.
Yeah, David, next time remember to close the sarcasm tags.
Yeah, that's fair. But he's been, well, Weird, you would know this with like a small child when they're congested, but they're still trying to breathe through their nose, so they make the bubbling noises.
Yep.
Yeah, cats generally breathe through their nose, so he's making those noises and just brutal sneezing, trying to clear it, and being very listless, not his usual inquisitive self.
But they put him on antibiotics?
Yeah, I gave him the first dose today, and after he got some treats in him to clear the taste from his mouth, he just fell asleep.
Yep.
So hopefully it's 10 days on that routine, and then that should be it, unless it either doesn't improve or symptoms worsen, and then we get to go back. But,
well, knock on wood on that one.
Yeah. They seemed, the vet seemed pretty convinced that it was, because his temperature was normal, his lungs are clear, he's not showing any other symptoms of something else. It's all very localized to his sinuses. So hopefully it's bacterial and not viral.
So, Oddball, any interesting legal cases at the law partners of Guns, Cars, and Tech?
No, because I'm not a lawyer.
Weird. There is a soundboard entry that is
yes, there is.
On the verge of being used here.
Why do I have to edit it?
Then mind your tongue.
Yes.
Although, do you want me to go ahead and dive into at least one of the legal things that I put in the show notes?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and we could start off with that one, and we'll just start working around. I kind of loosely organized them for the show, but it's a round table, so we go around.
Good friend William Kirk over at Washington Gun Law has been doing a wonderful job of every Monday reviewing the what the Supreme Court has said, what cases are going to take up and cases they've denied and all that fun stuff. And most of this time, it's as far as Second Amendment stuff goes, it's been nothing because, I could say what I feel about the way the Supreme Court has been handling itself, but this is not a mag dump, and I'm not drunk enough. But this past week, once again, they've ignored most of the Second Amendment cases, but they didn't. They did make a decision with the Adamiak case, which is a case out of Virginia where a sailor from the Navy started a side hustle where he was where he was buying and selling surplus firearms parts and accessories, but never he never sold a completed firearm, and he never sold a serialized the serialized firearm part, right?
So nothing that actually legally is a firearm.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the ATF decided that he was in the business of selling firearms and hit him with selling machine guns because he sold the barrel shroud of a machine gun, which isn't a firearm.
But it is a shoulder thing that goes up.
Correct. Yes. And somehow they managed to convince a judge and jury that, oh yeah, these things, and like the inert RPG launcher that he had in his possession, which is an empty tube, and it didn't have any of the functional parts in it, and in fact had been demilled with holes drilled in the tube. So if you actually tried to fire something out of it, it would explode and kill you. They hit him for possession of a destructive device for that, and also for possession of a couple 37 millimeter flare launchers, which again that's perfectly legal. And they've gone all the way up the appellate court and ended up at the Supreme Court saying, hey, the ATF has just straight up lied about whether or not these laws apply to these items, and this poor guy, his life is being ruined because he was actually following the law. And
just to toss a memory in, a number of years ago, like several decades ago, there was a case where the ATF, a guy had a firearm that was seized for whatever reason, and the ATF literally broke the gun to get it to double so that they could charge him. I forget the fellow's name, but I think it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was in the early 2000s, and it was a
that's the late 90s plus.
Yes.
And of course the ATF had a confidential informant that was ratting this guy out and saying that he had all these things when he didn't, and was constantly pestering him, asking, hey, could you sell me a machine gun, or this, that, or the other, help me make a machine gun. And this guy's response every time was, no, get away from me. But unfortunately at this point, their only option was to petition SCOTUS in hopes that SCOTUS would take it up, and SCOTUS has denied cert. They actually denied cert before the deadline given to put in arguments as to why SCOTUS should pick up the case or not. So this was very much SCOTUS saying, no, F you. And unfortunately for this gentleman, his only option really at this point is to hope for a pardon. So I've already done it. I would suggest that our listeners also send a message to their Congress critters going, hey, here's a guy that is a model citizen that got a bum rap and just railroaded.
Oh yeah, totally jacked.
This guy needs to be pardoned.
Yeah.
And one little side note that I actually wasn't sure whether we wanted to talk about this, mention this during the show or not, but according to the Second Amendment Foundation's page, where they've written up an article about what's been going on with this case, or the background of this case, I should say, it does say at the end, update, noted gun rights attorney Matthew Larossier who has testified before Congress on Second Amendment issues, is the sole attorney working on Adamiak's case and has been doing so without pay. Which, one, good on him for doing it pro bono. But two, if you are not familiar with the name Matthew Larossier, you might be familiar with his YouTube channel, which is Fudbusters. And this is the second high-profile case that I'm aware of where he was the lawyer for the person and had all the evidence on his side and lost. The other being the gentleman that runs the CRS YouTube channel that was doing marketing for a company that, or running ads for a company that was selling diagrams of lightning links etched on business cards. And the ATF convicted him by convincing a jury that, oh, no. Those cards were totally machine gun, were totally machine gun parts, even though the person who bought it would then have to cut out the lightning link from the sheet metal, and the actual size of it wasn't quite right, so you had to work on it to get the size right, and this, that, and the other. But that was totally selling illegal machine gun parts. So while I normally go, well, here's an actual legit lawyer, I'm also looking at his track record.
Yeah,
and I'll let our good listeners make the decision of what I may or may not think about his track record after making that statement.
All right. So we're ready to move on to the next one?
I think so, unless anybody else has anything to comment on that.
No.
Just that this is yet another in a long list of ATF legal abuses.
Yes.
Going back to the 30s, honestly.
Yeah. And like I said, in this case, completely going off the script over what the law actually says and what the definition.
Completely fabricated.
Yeah.
But again, there's a long list of those. There was an incident that I remember reading about back in the 1970s. It was a teacher and historian and living history guy, and he had one of the novelty dummy grenades.
Mm-hmm.
He had it on his table, and one of his students was mad at him for giving them a failing grade or something like that, and called the police and said he'd seen a grenade in his house.
Mm.
The police, wanting no part of it, passed that tip on to the ATF. The ATF burst into the man's house, not in uniform, not identifying themselves. He happened to be in the bathtub when they kicked in his door and came pouring in. This is one of the odder parts, but he grabbed a cap and ball revolver that he had on the table next to the bathtub to engage the intruders, and they shot him.
Yeah.
And that's not anything new.
Yeah.
So as bad as things are for Mr. Adamiak, at least they didn't kill him.
Yep. That was what happened to Brian Malinowski.
I was about to make that reference as well. Yeah. Because again, they have a long reputation of killing people to make an example or to fundraise or whatever. And this is definitely something that the current administration needs to address. I am encouraged by the new head of the ATF in certain respects, not so much in others, but he has made some statements that I hope he lives up to about not using the agency to punish the law-abiding and ignore the criminals. But we'll see. Yeah, that's a lead-in. That's a segue.
Did you dive right into that one?
Well, no, it was just, you've listed all these things, and then people tell me that I'm overreacting when I say that the biological sex at birth requirement is a catch-22. It's like, why do you trust this agency at all?
I don't.
Well, yes, I know, because everyone here is sensible, but I get tired of all the people who are essentially doing well, I got mine and it doesn't affect me, so I don't care. And it's just, why do you want to give the ATF power? You have a chance to reduce their power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the same thing when, Kash Patel was assigned to be head of FBI. It's like, okay, he's doing good things. I still don't trust the FBI. They should still be reeled back in and partially disassembled. Mm-hmm. They should be an investigative agency, period. ATF, investigative agency, period. If there's any law enforcement action that has to take place, then it should be local or the U.S. Marshals, because they're actually trained more or less, whereas ATF with that clearly is not. I mean, wasn't that long ago we did the story about the fellow who was the gun collector in Virginia, I think it was, or Maryland, and the ATF came and they broke down his door and destroyed his house.
Yes,
and had his minor daughter handcuffed on the front lawn.
Yeah, I believe that was Maryland.
Yeah. And if he hadn't seen them showing up on his cameras before they burst into the house, he would have assumed it was a home invasion. And they probably would have killed his entire family.
Mm-hmm.
So, to Erin's point, why do we keep giving them more chances to do this to us?
Because politics is increasingly tribal, and the people who are heavily into the tribal identity go, as long as it hurts the opposite side, we're for it.
Yeah. I mean,
because no one apparently thinks about second or third order effects or downstream effects when the opposite political party is in power.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I've stressed up in New York. The whole I got mine, so I don't care was one of the biggest obstacles we had in getting people to support the Second Amendment there. But also and there was a little bit more rationale for this with the pro-2A Democrats, of which there were a few, not many, but a few, who would justify almost any anti-gun law because it wouldn't be used against them.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, but you couldn't say that with the other side, because the New York was lost as far as getting actual pro-gun majority. But I mean, even here in Tennessee, we've got a supposedly pro-gun majority or supermajority in both houses of the legislature, and a governor who's made the right mouth noises, and yet it's still a fight to get pro-2A laws passed. I mean, to be fair, there was no permitting system before 1996, I think it was.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, the mid-1990s. So it hasn't been that long when there was no permitting system, and now we have permitless carry. But still, there are just... And I hear the same thing from people in other supposedly pro-gun conservative states. So, sorry, I didn't mean to take the talking stick like that. It's just that I pushed my own button, and several people pushed the same button.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So where do we want to go from here? There's a couple of angles we could take at.
I mean, it's ATF stuff.
Yeah.
So I figure probably be a good just go through the ATF stuff, get it out of the way.
Yeah. So let's Erin, do you want to talk about it, or do you want one of us to handle the?
Well, that's actually not ATF.
Yeah, I know, but I think it ties in.
It's going to be forced under the 4473 regulations.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce the topic, and then I'm going to back off, because I think everyone will know what my point is, and I will let you guys talk about it. But, so in case you haven't heard, the White House has released the 2026 version of the United States Counterterrorism Strategy. And there's 16 pages of it. And I want to refer you to, I believe it is page 7.
I believe it was.
Yeah.
The wonderful thing about it being online is that I can control F.
And F is definitely the right letter.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there it is. Okay. So, in addition to cartels and Islamist terror groups, I'm reading from the document, our national counterterrorism activities will also prioritize the rapid identification and neutralization of violent secular political groups whose ideology is anti-American, radically pro-transgender, and anarchist. And there are other things said, but towards the top, yeah, and this was something that was actually said by Trump because his signature is right after this on page 2. A new U.S. counterterrorism strategy is a return to common sense and peace through strength, which, if you ask me, peace through strength, it isn't quite the 1984 vibes, but it gets a little too close for my taste. Continuing to quote, as I said after our first successful counterterrorism mission, just days after I was sworn back in office, if you hurt Americans or planning to hurt Americans, quote, we will find you and we will kill you, end quote. Signed, President Donald J. Trump. Now, I do want to point out that within this document, I could not find a definition of what radically pro-transgender means. And as we have seen time and again, with government in general, don't trust them to have your best interests at heart, because they don't. They only have the government's best interests at heart. And if something is not defined, then they will use that vagueness however it suits them. And I have seen the way the country has been shifting since 2023, and I've railed about it. And we see it with the proposed requirement for biological sex at birth in the Form 4473. And maybe I'm being tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist here, but to me, this crystallizes why John Lott did that hack job on the transgender murder trend. It was leading up to this. So, enjoy your 30 pieces of silver, Judas. And so, without a definition of what these things mean, they could mean anything. So,
and they will almost only be used in the worst possible way.
Exactly. And so, because the Pink Pistols is a pro-queer group, and that includes pro-transgender, well, I mean, we're already fitting that requirement right there. The only question is, what does radical mean? And at this point, radical can mean whatever the government wants it to mean.
And could they shoehorn that into anti-American, which is another one of the categories?
Yes. And so, a lot of people, myself included, are very concerned about this, because just as a little thought experiment here, if you change the word transgender and replace it with Zionist.
Hello.
Gee, does it sound like anti-Semitism? Hey, resident Jew, what do you think?
Well, I mean, according to the right-thinking people, anti-Zionism is not the same as anti-Semitism, except it is.
But what I'm saying is that if you have a find and replace, it is chilling.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
especially with, it's one of the things I am thankful for is, in regards to President Trump, is that he has proven to be generally pro-Israel and pro-American Jews, but that does not excuse this transgression.
Yeah.
Because it has been us in the past, and it will most likely be us in the future. Excuse me. Likely be us in the future, and in other countries, it is us. And in some parts of this country, it is us. And as historically we will stand beside you.
In the camps, maybe.
Or by the mass graves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and if I'm...
I'll let you have the soapbox in a moment. I am wrapping up here. So, this is not a formal announcement, because things could always change. I could be talked out of it. But after giving this careful consideration of I don't know. I don't think it's been a full week. Maybe it has. But I think that what I need to do to protect Operation Blazing Sword and Pink Pistols is to step down. And I need to distance myself from it. Because I am very visible and very vocal and very trans. And if I can find someone who is not trans to head the organization, that should hopefully insulate it somewhat. I mean, it won't be completely safe, but
No.
But if I get away from it, and then we get someone who is just more palatable and is merely gay, then I think the organization will be okay. And the mission of Blazing Sword and Pink Pistols is more important than I am.
And that right there speaks to your quality of character.
Well, thank you.
That you're willing to put the mission and the organization ahead of yourself.
And
most people can't do that.
Thank you. And so, unless things change, and I honestly don't think they will, my plan is to, well, first of all, find a successor that I trust and is competent. And then when we have the 10-year anniversary of Pulse, it may not be on the exact date because I don't want to take Pulse and make it about me, but I think that would be a good time for me to step down after 10 years of doing this unpaid, thankless job in which I have been thrown under the bus and stabbed in the back. I suppose I could count it if I wanted to get really depressed, but more times than I would like.
By people who should have been your allies.
Yeah.
Primarily.
Yeah. And so
it's one thing to be thrown under the bus by your enemies. That's expected.
Yeah.
But when your allies do it, that hurts.
Yeah. And I don't know what that's going to mean for the podcast. I know Weird wants me to stick around, but it's a case of visibility, and I don't know what the right choice here is. This seems like the time to mention it, so that it doesn't come as a surprise to people. So that's really all I have to say about this situation. And I think Weird wanted to say something, so you have the floor.
Yeah, well, the other part that I also find really tough with this is, so you lump it in, obviously. So let's dive into the radical Islam groups. No, that's not saying if you are a Muslim, you are not a terrorist. You are not violent. You are not dangerous. But there are factions out there that are at their core Muslim and are at their core violent and terrorists, and documented and all of that. The tough thing about it is this, radical trans whatever. I fail to see the people that are being directly harmed by this, with the one exception being, again, we already picked apart the John Lott article on trans killers, and I will note that one of the most well-known one is the Nashville shooter that will not be named, but in this killer's diary, there were multiple points where they were talking about, being trans, but also talking about being autistic. And now that they are dead, their medical records have been released, and they had been to multiple mental health specialists and had been tested for the autism spectrum and found on at least two occasions to not be autistic. But this person was declaring that they were autistic. And so it's one of those, they're saying they're autistic and they're not. And also they're saying they're trans, and that was a number of things. And again, I'm not in a position to say, were they real? Were they not? But it's one of those, like, are we going to hang our hat on this? Mm-hmm. Especially when it comes to, we will find you and we will kill you. That I find that very, very troubling, and find that one of these things is not like the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's where it's talking about in the document. It's cartels, Islamic terror groups, violent secular political groups, anarchists.
I'll say right now,
And
like, I mean, it's been pretty well documented, the global war on terror groups, but also it was one of those when first the declaration of the cartels as a terrorist group by the United States government. At first, it seemed a little bit like doing the math, and then I realized, oh, if you've ever set foot on a gore site, one of the categories that you will find is cartel violence, and it is horrific. Some of the
I've never been there, but unfortunately you've told me some of the details.
Yeah,
I didn't need to know.
Yeah, and I think I spared you some of the worst stuff that I've seen.
Yeah,
but
I've also seen some of the video from October 7th, which I didn't need to see.
Yes, but either way, what I'm trying to say is that okay, I can get that. Again, I am concerned with government power as a general rule, and at no point in time is Weer'd ever going to say we should totally trust the government. Because again, these definitions can be slid around, and
all you have to do is look at the Red Scare from the 1950s.
Yes, yep.
People's lives were destroyed on suspicion and rumor, and they were called in front of Congress and questioned. And if they didn't know anybody, they were pressured to pick names anyway. And the ones who didn't had their lives and livelihoods destroyed. And some of the ones who did also had their lives and livelihoods destroyed. The whole blacklist thing.
Yes. And
it just strikes me as very much the same.
Yes. While I do recognize that there absolutely are, fundamentalist Islam groups that are terrorists and are generally terrible people on there, the fine line that goes to, okay, at what point do we cross over from the no, this group are terrorists and also are Muslim to these people are Muslim, so therefore they must have some ties to terror.
Right. Yeah. Yep. If they're Muslim or if they know Muslims, they must know some Muslim terrorists, so we're just going to hammer them until they give them up.
Correct.
And that's not at all how our system is supposed to work.
So
it's kind of like how Tucker Carlson complained that the government was monitoring his calls when it was found out that he was communicating with some of the leaders of Iran, not because they were tapping Tucker's phones, but because they were tracking communications with the government of Iran. And he popped up on the radar that way. Like, that's one thing. If they had gone directly after him because he knows people in the Mideast, that would be another. And I have no love for Tucker Carlson.
So yeah, I don't think this is an overreaction, Aaron. I found this very, very shocking when I first when I first read this, and so yeah, the caution going forward. And again, it's it sucks that one side is coming after one side of my friend groups, the other side's coming after another side of my friend groups.
Story of all of our lives.
Yes. And so I will step back a little bit and say that I listened to a very, very great podcast from Stephen Katowski at the Reload, and he had what was the guy's name?
Robert Leider.
Yeah, or I think it's Leider, but yeah,
related to Felix.
Yes, that was my thought when he was introducing him, and he talked a lot about the stuff going on in the ATF. One of the things he talked about, and Stephen said that there's been a lot of comments already on the biological sex aspect of the 4473, and of course I've put the Pink Pistols template for commenting on on that for you to check out and use that as a basis if you need a little bit of help to leave a comment, because that is certainly a great thing. And his point was that it was not at all part of this anti-trans, anti-queer agenda that is for sure going on, but more of just for simplifying the 4473. And his statement was that the FBI specifically deals with biological sex when it comes to your file. But of course, I think as was pointing out, there's still kind of a catch-22 because when it comes to your 4473, they don't just let you fill it out. They need a positive form of ID to see that, you're filling out the form as Weerdington Elizabeth Beard. In fact, is that your name, Weerdington Elizabeth Beard? And here, let me see a piece of, a piece of ID. And so if the trouble comes for, if you are somebody who under your state law was allowed to change your, allowed to change your gender on your legal documents and all that, you will be handing them a driver's license that says female and be filling out a 4473 that says male, or vice versa, or non-binary, or however you identify and all that. And where does that go through as well? And he didn't really discuss that aspect of it. But one of the aspects that he did discuss, which I actually really brightened my day, and I will use that to get us a little bit out of this very glum place that we have every right to be in, was that one of the proposed rules is to change the amount of time that the ATF is allowed to hold on to sales records from out of business gun dealers. And
I believe currently it's forever.
It is forever, correct?
Yes.
If a gun shop goes out of business, gun shops are allowed to shred their dockets. I think it's 20 years. Do you know you're off the top of your head, David?
It used to be, but I think
I
that
don't think
was
they're allowed
changed
to anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have to keep all the records until they go out of business. I don't think they're allowed to destroy any of them anymore.
And then when they go out of business, it is kept forever with the ATF.
And the ATF has massive warehouses full of boxes and boxes of 4473s. And there was a story late last year, I think it was, that there'd been a water leak in one of the warehouses and it destroyed several shelves worth of records, which were several 100,000 records were destroyed.
Yeah.
And my initial thought was, what a shame.
What a shame.
Mm-hmm.
But
because that's a database.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. The part that I liked about this not only is just the logistics of holding on to that much paperwork, and we're talking tons of paperwork.
And also keep in mind for our listeners, the ATF is quote unquote not allowed to digitize these records.
Mm-hmm.
But they are digitizing. They're not allowed to make a database of it, but they're allowed to digitize it.
They are digitizing.
Yeah.
And
anyone who's ever filled out one of the E4473s in a gun shop, yeah, you're digitizing your own record at that point.
Right.
And here's the part that I liked is, again, with the proposed rule, and hopefully it will go through to destroy the records after 20 years of them being
20
around.
or 30 they're still discussing. Yeah,
they're discussing. It might be less than that as well. There's a lot going through. Again, this is a proposal. But if they do this and it does go through, whether it be 20 years or 30 years, it will simply mean that any record that happened, that many years ago officially cannot exist within the ATF's purview.
And I'm sure we can trust them to get rid of those records, right? Right.
And we can't, and we can be expected. But what this does do is it's very similar to somebody said, now that you've got 3D printed guns, what does anybody care about gun laws? Just print what you want. And I point out the fact that, yes, you can print what you want, but if I print an AR-15 and build an AR-15 in my basement, I am now in the possession of an illegal assault weapon. I can have
you're
it.
fine under federal law, but you're screwed under state law.
Correct.
Right.
But if I get caught with this thing, and furthermore, what if I print it with a third hole and print it with an auto sear, or print lightning links?
I was going to bring up that point as well.
Yeah, is that I can do that physically, and I can have that in my possession, and it's not going to just self-destruct. But
yeah, I was talking earlier that I'm printing a 37 millimeter flare launcher. Mm-hmm. How difficult would it be to scale that up a little bit?
Yes,
right.
That would be illegal.
Yes, but the key factor is if I'm ever caught with any of those things, I've got a lot to answer for. Same thing goes with, yes, they can still keep this database and still use this database, but if they are ever caught with it, they will have a lot to answer for. So,
but will they?
Yeah.
Do you remember? I don't remember when it was or where it was, but there was the incident where a gun shop had an ATF agent come in to review their 4473s, and they caught her taking photos of them with her personal cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And she got a slap on the wrist and was told not to do it again.
So I'm just going to repeat something that I've said here before and that I posted on the Twix. The ATF has constructive possession over a collection of records which they can easily and readily assemble into an illegal gun owner registry.
Yeah, it's already a database. It's simply distributed and
analog.
And
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's an analog database.
Yeah, and we've seen that with, how long does it take after a high-profile shooting for it to come out that, oh, this person got this gun because they bought it at this gun shop X time ago?
Yeah. Often within the same day.
Yeah.
And if the ATF doesn't have that data readily available to do that, how else would they find out that information? Mm-hmm. The only way to do that type of tracking other than having this illegal database is they would have to reach out to the manufacturer. The manufacturer would tell them which distributor it went to. The distributor would have to tell them which store it was shipped to. That's not happening in a few hours.
No.
Especially after hours. So, yeah, I think they've already drilled the third hole in the database.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I guess, Weird, you were talking about 3D printing earlier.
Mm-hmm.
As were we all.
So the latest favorite thing of Moms Demand Action and the Brady Bunch, etc., is they have.
I still think their name should be a category on Pornhub.
They have been going after 3D printing guns. And they have started getting legislatures to start submitting bills and in a couple states passing bills into law to make it to try to crack down on these evil 3D printed guns. Specifically, off the top of my head, it's been a real big topic with California, Washington, and Colorado.
And New York. It's also New York.
Yes, but New York, the ones in New York have actually been killed. Now I full expect them to come back, but California, Washington, and Colorado have actually passed stuff.
Yeah. To New York's credit, they can't agree on enough things to actually get the bill through.
Right,
but it's even before it died in committee, it was not as bad as Washington State's.
Right. And fortunately, the good one out of the bunch has been Colorado, where it has gotten watered down to when the bill actually got passed into law. It got watered all the way down to, oh, okay, it's illegal to use a 3D printer to make a firearm. Which I believe in Colorado, it's already illegal to manufacture your own firearm unless if you're an FFL or a manufacturer.
Right, SOT.
Licensed manufacturer. In Washington State, they have recently passed a law that has said that, and also that it is now illegal to merely possess the code to the STLs to which are or the G code, sorry, which is actually the programming code to get your 3D printer to manufacture firearms or firearm parts.
And how is that not a First Amendment issue?
Oh, it very much is. And in fact, I'll get to that. I was just about to get to that, which is around here somewhere. I have a book that is a printout of the G code to print a Liberator pistol.
Me too.
I had it in my wish list, but before I could actually order it, they pulled it.
Right. Which means all those folks that love to scream about banned books, I own an honest-to-God banned book. A good and proper, it is illegal to possess this book in the state of Washington.
Yeah, just to clarify for some folks, if the school library doesn't have the book, but you can order it off Amazon, it's not a banned book. But as Oddball said, if having possession of that book can get you in legal trouble, then it is a banned book. Very important distinction.
And the bill that California is batting around at the moment goes even further in that not only will it be illegal to use a 3D printer to manufacture a firearm in the state of California without a license, which it's already illegal to make a gun in California without a license. And not only would it be illegal to possess the G code, but they are talking about a bill that would make it so that the printer would have to have some sort of algorithm to detect that, oh, this is clearly a firearm or firearm part. And also it's been bandied about that California will actually have an approved list of 3D printers that you can buy that they have declared, yes, this has the algorithm that will stop you from using it to print firearm or firearm parts.
California do be loving their rosters.
Which is absolutely insane and is something that is much further reaching in damage than just the 3D printed 2A community. And the good news is the 3D printed printer community has noticed, and there has been a lot of pushback from them. Hopefully it will. Hopefully they'll be able to actually do something. And they have been talking about, as you said, code has consistently been declared free speech. It has been consistently declared by the courts that computer code is protected by the First Amendment. So this should be straight off, no, you can't ban computer code.
I am wondering how long it's going to be before some judge in a court in one of these states says the First Amendment doesn't exist in their courtroom.
Right. And that's also why the EFF, who has
I'm sorry, EFF?
about the EFF over the years.
Electronic Freedom Foundation or Frontier Foundation?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I didn't recognize the acronym, sorry.
Yeah. Who has done some wonderful work in their past. Last couple of years, they've made some statements that I haven't been a fan of, but they've actually come out and said, no, all this 3D printed gun legal stuff is horrible, and we need to fight it. And honestly, I think I've seen more chatter about it and pushback by the 3D printer community than I have from the firearms community over this stuff.
Which is surprising.
Yes,
Is it?
and what's that, Aaron?
Is it really surprising?
Well, there's that.
I mean, the 2A 3D print community it makes a herd of cat looks organized.
Yeah.
So
well,
valid.
I mean, obviously the actual like the hobbyist 3D print firearms community, they've obviously been jumping up and screaming about it for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But the firearms community as a whole, the larger subset, really, I haven't. The NRA has put out a token statement saying, yeah, we're against it.
Yeah. FPC has jumped on it because that's their thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you seen anything from Second Amendment Foundation on that? I don't recall.
I don't think so, but I haven't. In fairness, I haven't gone searching to see if they've made an announcement, so I may have missed it.
I believe the GOA did make a statement about it as well.
Okay.
But I don't know if it was anything stronger than the NRA's. I don't remember.
But it's the whole thing of, even if you are not into 3D, making firearms out of squirted plastic.
Mm-hmm.
If that's not your thing, fine, whatever. But you have to understand. Last year at the NRA annual meeting, or GOA's goals, how many suppressors were 3D printed?
Yeah. Yep. Or there were also several prototypes.
Right. Yeah.
Not suppressors, but firearms prototypes that had 3D printed components. I forget the name of the manufacturer, but the 9mm belt-fed AR upper.
Yes.
I believe it was 3D printed links.
And we've started to see, and it's going to be more and more as things move on. We've started to see where there are concepts or entire firearms, etc., that David or I have seen in the 3D printed 2A community that somebody has decided, hey, this works well, and let me ramp this up and make some changes to make it a little bit more durable. You use some other manufacturing techniques because of XYZ, and bring it to market. 3D printing, and I really think the hobbyist 3D printing is going to be should be a major sector for firearms innovation.
I mean, you could even take the word firearms out of that.
Right. Yeah.
Innovation in manufacturing. I mean, it brings us back in a lot of ways to the cottage industry level of distributed manufacturing.
Absolutely.
And with the reduction in price and improvement in availability of some of the metal 3D printers that are starting to show up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember 10 years ago when the patents for that started to expire, and people were talking about one day you'll be able to get a metal 3D printer for under $20,000.
Right. And there was actually a company at the Rip Rap Festival, ironically in Colorado, which is one of the major 3D printing conventions. There was a company there showing off their metal 3D printer that they're bringing to market at $10,000.
Yes. And was that? Oh, I saw a video on. I think it was that.
And I mean, granted, that's still out of range of those of us on this podcast.
It's out of hobbyist range, but
there's that high level pro consumer market,
right?
That's where that is now. I've met people, and David, I'm sure you've met people, and same with Erin and Weer'd, that for their woodworking or their crafting, etc., that they've sunk that kind of money into their equipment.
My yes. Before we moved, I was part of a metalworking group in upstate New York, and one of the guys who was in the group would occasionally host the meetings had formerly worked at Watervliet Arsenal. And he'd worked there for quite a while. And he had invested a lot of money. He had a water jet table. He had a plasma cutter. He had, I don't even remember half the stuff that he had, but he could easily have started producing on the small scale. He could have started producing firearms.
And of course, with the hobbyist level of 3D manufacturing, if a law passes that requires, and there has been somebody that's floated it on the federal level, that requires this software stuff, that is going to severely
what if you could dominate
the development of 3D manufacturing on the hobbyist level, because most of that has been open source, people just doing this because they can.
Right. And then you add the second and third order effects to that.
Right. So I know I've already asked our listeners to write their Congress critters about one thing, but if you're in one of these states that's talking about doing any sort of registration or any sort of regulation of 3D printers over this stuff, please reach out to them and tell them that this is a bad idea. And I do have to comment that the video I linked for this particular subject, the three guys on there are absolutely not gun people, and they are the kind that do think that there should be a good bit of regulations on firearms, but they're also coming at this from the pure 3D printing side and seeing that no, this is a bad idea. And actually, one of them is in England, so clearly he's not going to be able to legally use this for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think I've rambled about that enough.
Yeah. I did find the video. I didn't put it in the show notes, but I put it in the chat. It's the company's called Scrap Labs. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
Yeah, I am. And that video is done by Joel at 3D Printing Nerd, who has been one of the guys that has been rallying about this stuff. And he's actually up in Washington State. And actually, one of the things that he mentioned was the letters, the phone calls, those help. But one of the big things that he didn't see in his state that he thinks really hurt the cause is nobody showed up to the public hearings about these bills.
Which is a common issue. Again, as someone who volunteered with the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, the lack of attendance at the legislative outreach days was always depressing.
Yeah.
But the Scrap Labs metal desktop 3D printer for a fully assembled, tested, ready to plug in and print, $1,800 for the base level. And for the kit, it's just over $14,000, which if you watch the 3D Printing Nerd video and see some of the prints that they're getting out of this, yeah, someone who's doing like rapid prototyping or small scale production. I know several vintage car nerds who probably either already have one or are saving up for one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So and as we've already talked about numerous times, as the technology matures, the prices are going to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't surprise me if before the end of the decade, the Scrap Labs or a similar system will be under 10 grand for buy it, put it on the table, plug it in. And, which gives me 3.5 years to save up for one. Because that would be so cool. But yeah, but every time I see one of these groups or government agencies railing against how we need to stop 3D printing because guns, I print another 3D printed gun.
It's kind of like me in drum magazines.
Yeah, but mine's less expensive.
Which, for those playing at home, I will be receiving a drum magazine for a 10 millimeter high point later this week.
Yeah, but so I think I have. What was it? I think I have 5 or 6 3D printed guns at this point, and only 2 of them are ARs.
Okay.
But yeah, what is your saying, Erin, about freedom, damage, and routing around?
I don't remember what it was specifically, but the rough approximation is freedom interprets regulation as damage and routes around it.
That sounds about right.
Or maybe it was capitalism. I mean, the general concept is the same. I'm cribbing from somebody in the early days of the internet who was saying that the internet regards censorship as damage and routes around it. And so...
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I not the one that I was looking for, because I thought I had it saved as a meme, but I also have this one that I share with people, which is yours. Remember, always move towards greater freedom and away from greater regulation.
Thank you.
And as you'll note, you have been given attribution.
I thank you.
Because, yes, I need to find the actual quote for that other one and make a meme of it, because it's really, really handy. Of course, in my memes folder, it is adjacent to this one. Everything is heresy crossed out. Autism. Yeah, no lies detected. But speaking of autism, what should we spurg out on next?
Well, actually, I was kind of planning on starting the show with this, just because it was a current event last week when we were recording, and I knew that we were going to get more information for the next show. But of course, we got naturally carried away into other stuff that was absolutely important as well. So I mentioned that last week, at the time of our recording, a man was in Cambridge on Memorial Drive, which is a major artery through the city and heading into Boston, and was firing on cars with an AR style. Not sure if it was a pistol or a rifle. I don't think he cares. But he was shot. It turns out he was not killed, and he has been, indicted from his hospital room. It also turns out, which something that I don't know if I said, but it would have been a very, very easy bet to say that he had a lengthy criminal record.
Oh, we talked about that. Oh, yes.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Oh, yes.
Because he was on parole for stabbing somebody, and the person he was stabbing was a witness against him, getting into a shootout with the police. So,
but weird. How would he get a hold of a firearm legally in Massachusetts with that record?
How would he be out on the streets of Cambridge with that record?
Well, that's a much easier question, considering what we've seen from the legislatures, or the judicial elements in multiple states.
Yes, but it's also ironically also the states where getting a firearm is very, very difficult is the same type of place that just kind of lets horrible, dangerous people go.
Yeah. So to clarify your statement, getting a firearm is very difficult if you do it legally.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yes, that is actually a very key distinction, and I'm embarrassed that I stumbled into this. But I will note that even though getting a firearm legally in this is in this state is challenging, and getting a firearm legally in the city of Cambridge is extremely challenging. They may have made it a little easier now after NYSERPA, but it was essentially impossible, before that. But there was a legally armed citizen that assisted the police in neutralizing this guy who had wounded people, and so it's just overall a good story. Unfortunately, he was not killed, which means he will be let out again and will be trying to kill more people in the near future.
I was just reading the article. Is the perpetrator in 2014? He was convicted of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and witness intimidation. In 2020, he was charged with attempting to kill Boston police officers. He was later sentenced to 5 to 6 years in state prison, followed by probation, after prosecutors sought a term of 10 to 12 years. And there were a couple of other things that were mentioned in there. But what have they actually identified specifically what firearm? Because it looks like an AR pistol.
It does. Yeah, I haven't seen anything about it, and I don't think they're going to really talk about that or pay much attention because, let's be honest, they don't want to draw attention to how worthless our gun laws are.
Yeah, and they're not the same type of autists that we are.
Yes.
Because I'd be curious, more than just, is it an AR pistol, but I'd be curious about the brand. Because, I mean, with USAID's funding getting cut, I doubt it's a Daniel Defense.
I was going to make a crack about that.
You're welcome.
I will say, just because those conspiracy theories on the various shootings, specifically the Uvalde guy was dirt poor and ended up rolling up on that school with several $1,000s worth of kit. Mm-hmm. And people assumed that meant that there was some government entity funding him. To which point I pointed out the fact that these guys are often suicidal, so there is no future me to worry about that credit card bill.
Right. Same thing with the Butler, Pennsylvania shooter.
Yeah.
Who also had several $1,000s worth of kit.
Yeah. So
as opposed to the guy who murdered Charlie Kirk, who had his grandpa's military surplus sporterized rifle.
Yep. Yeah, it was. Do you know if it was actually if it was mil surplus or if it was a commercial Mauser?
I believe from the pictures it was a commercial Mauser.
Okay. Yeah.
Just if it wasn't a commercial Mauser, it was thoroughly sporterized.
Mm-hmm.
As in the receiver may have been reprofiled.
Yeah, again, and that actually just tucks into the gun laws are absolutely worthless because yes, we have the guy in Uvalde probably just maxed out his credit card. We've got the guy who killed Charlie Kirk just had inherited a very, very cheap, not great rifle.
He didn't inherit it. Part of the text messages were his concern that he wasn't going to be able to get it back to his grandfather, and he was going to get in trouble for that.
Yes, that's true. I forgot.
That's what he was concerned with getting in trouble for, was not giving his grandfather his rifle back, not killing someone.
Mm-hmm.
That's the level of insanity.
Yeah, and then you have Sandy Hook, where he simply murdered his mom and pilfered her collection.
Yeah.
So,
and then the one with Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. How do we know how he got his firearms?
He just bought them in a shop because despite his mental illness, threats against people, fights, and all that,
multiple arrests.
He had never been charged with any of those prohibited crimes that we're going through. But clearly, we need more laws,
right?
And I will use that
we don't just need more gun laws.
Yes,
we need more car laws.
Yes, that's exactly where I was going. Is that in?
Sorry.
No, I mean it's exactly the point that I was trying to make. Is in Modena, Italy. There was an attack where it appears that still at the time nobody has been killed, thank goodness. But it was
several people brutally injured, though.
Yeah. It says according to this, I've got to just link the Wikipedia because it's constantly being updated, and frankly, it usually has the most information than the news reports, especially since this happened on the 16th, so it is a very, very recent attack.
Yeah. Did you see the video of the initial part of the attack?
I did not. I actually didn't see the video of this one.
It is horrifying. I think it was a street level security camera or a business security camera, but you see the car swerve onto the sidewalk and you literally see people flying into the air.
Mm-hmm.
How no one died is stunning.
Yes, but there was one woman who lost both of her legs.
Yes, because he crashed into her and pinned her against the front of a building. Crushed her legs. Yeah.
So, yeah,
but when you see a car hit someone and that person goes pinwheeling up into the air above the level of the car's roof, how did they not die? It's just, that's the part that I find amazing, because it was a car at high speed.
Yes. And you see again, a lot of the instances, again, we didn't have school shootings really in any level until the media went nuts with the Columbine attacks. And then furthermore, after Virginia Tech went really, really nuts about that was when people suddenly started realizing, and you see all these references to the Columbine people, the Isla Vista killer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of copycat action, and we have had multiple vehicle attacks. And,
just Erin mentioned that one of the women had both of her legs severed by the collision. Another had to have her legs amputated. So two women, tourists from Poland and Germany, ages 69 and 53, lost both of them lost both their legs.
Yeah, it's I'm grateful that they're alive, because, like I said, you talk about how heavy a 45 ACP bullet is. A car is a whole lot heavier. And,
Citroen C3 well outweighs that. Yeah,
and the let's see, the 2016 Nice attack, which is I think the record for a truck, is the killed 87 or 86 people were murdered in the truck attack in Nice.
Yeah.
So this is a serious threat, and again, you don't need a gun, and so that's that. And there's also the question of it happened to be that the people in this attack were, I believe, immigrants.
Yeah, the guy who was the driver of the car was, I believe it said that he was from
Morocco. Well, so it's the driver, 31-year-old Italian citizen, but is Moroccan.
Yeah, 31-year-old Italian citizen of Moroccan origin, an economics graduate with a clear criminal record. Oh, and by the way, at the low end of the weight, Citroen C3 weighs 14,630,000 grains.
Ah. That is that's the check off ballistic autism on your bingo card.
I think we already had that.
I know, but it just
and extreme autism is also in there.
If you want to know what ballistic autism looks like, that's what that looks like.
It's a really simple math process. You just take pounds and multiply by 7,000.
And on a similar level, obviously, this person was the person who was in the driver's seat appears to be Muslim. Of course, there's not necessarily a direct motive linked on that, whether there is or not. I just haven't discovered it yet, or it's going
the official statement is that they ruled out a political or religious motive.
Yeah. They declared it as a mental illness issue.
Mm-hmm. I mean, driving a car into a crowd full of people for any reason, if it was or was not politically or religiously motivated, that's still a mental health issue.
Yeah.
So they're not really saying anything.
I say that on there's always the question, was this a terrorist attack? But I will note that not all Muslims are terrorists, and sometimes they are a victim of terrorism. And
not all Muslims are terrorists, and not all terrorists are Muslims.
Yes, and in San Diego, that's today as of this recording, there was an attack at a mosque. It was 2 people. They died by self-inflicted gunshot wounds.
Once again, doing things in the wrong order.
Yeah, exactly. And
I heard that they were teenagers.
Yes,
17 and 18.
I mean, I was immediately reminded of, I don't know if it was last week before, when you had the 2 North Carolina teenagers who were going to go to Texas and shoot up a synagogue.
Yes, the oldest synagogue in Texas.
Yeah. And I was just wondering if this was somehow related, or if it was just, deviant minds all thinking alike.
I think it's more likely the latter, because if you are submerged in an environment where a certain type of hate is acceptable, you're going to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a very strong will to rebel against that, and in this case, it's 17 and 18. In the folks who are going to go to Texas, it was, I think, 18 and 16.
Mm-hmm.
So they're at that age, and I mean, thankfully the two in North Carolina were caught before they could do it. Unfortunately, these two did manage to carry out their attack. Thankfully, I guess you could say the students were safe. None of the kids at that Islamic center were killed.
Mm-hmm. And one of the folks that was killed was was hired as a guard for, and he has been witnesses have credited him with saving a bunch of lives. They say that he did an awful lot.
Yeah, he was an effective speed bump.
Yeah, very, 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 very similar to the Mike Tyson line. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. That is one of the key factors, and again, it's documented with the FBI that the moment the shooter starts taking incoming fire is the moment the shooting changes drastically.
Oh yeah, the number of times where somebody breaks their fantasy and they go into a closet or stairwell and shoot themselves.
Correct.
There's so many instances like that.
Yeah, it was shortly after, I believe, Virginia Tech, where a young man went into, I think it was a high school, with a shotgun, and he touched off a round at a teacher or somebody, missed, and the school resource officer was nearby and immediately fired a shot at him, and he locked himself in a room and ended his life. So it was one of those. It was that rapid response was what turned the tide.
Yeah, okay. Let me just clarify before I say this. I am not throwing shade or blaming video games. Not what I'm saying. But for a number of these younger shooters, they see themselves in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
And when their immersion is broken, they fracture. So,
all right. So moving on, and again, heart goes out to all the lives lost in these in these events,
and not just the lives lost, and not just those physically injured, but those who will be suffering from psychological damage, possibly for the rest of their lives, because you don't come away from witnessing something like that unharmed.
And this story, I'm not sure which one of you put this on here, but this I think also ties in well with the aspect of the show, is that a 19-year-old transgender student was stabbed, so not shot, and again also the victim of a violent crime.
Yeah, that was me. I'm the one who put it in there, and we were jumping around. I had done that as sort of a lead-in to talking about the radical pro-transgender ideology counterterrorism thing, and it's in there just to highlight the fact that as of this moment, we don't know that the woman was killed because she was transgender. But
yeah,
well, just based upon my studies of these things, queer people in general, but especially trans women, are disproportionately affected by violence.
Yeah.
And so, really my main point was, look, we aren't ready to snap and murder people. We are more victims than anything else. And this is just yet another reason, as if we needed more reasons, as to why queer people need to carry firearms to defend themselves. Now, what with her being, I believe, 19 years old and a student at college, that may not have been possible. And, I'm not victim blaming in the slightest. I am simply saying that it's yet more proof that people want to hurt us, both specifically and in general. And we need to protect ourselves because there are very few people who will help protect us. And, fortunately, it's not zero, because I know that, any of you gentlemen would help someone who is being attacked, and I thank you for that. But just in general, there's a large amount of apathy towards the well-being of queer people and a lot of outright animosity. And so it sucks. And it surprises me that people like the government will interpret, hey, I want to keep myself safe, as a dangerous radical ideology.
Yeah. And I would also say, be cautious of the propaganda out there. I mean, it's one of those, I think you don't have to venture too far, online before you see someone taking a group of people that are behaving very, very badly. And, the people immediately point out, they're African American. Clearly, this is an African American issue. It's not, there are jerks of every color.
Oh, yeah.
This is not. And the people that are saying, these are African Americans that are doing these awful things are not going to, stop by the local dinner counter after church at the Black Baptist church and see the families all dressed up in their nines, enjoying themselves a meal after church and just reflecting on the weekend. No, they're not going to show that, because that doesn't meet their narrative. And the same thing goes with a lot of these, trans issues, is people nobody's an angel. You see it also with police officers. People will show a police officer doing something horrible, but won't show a police officer saving somebody's life or just handling a call extremely well. And it's just one of those, they're people. There are people that act badly. There are people that are indeed heroes. And the same thing goes with this movement, is people want to, there are people that are trying to lead you by the nose. Don't let them do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Think for yourself. And if someone is trying to convince you to hate somebody, they do not have your best interests at heart.
And if you see somebody that is, and you're having a reaction of that person is a jerk, think about why they're being a jerk. Is that particular behavior unique to that person, or is that something everywhere? So that's all I wanted to get out on my soapbox of the, you could do any number of things that are going through. Chuck Schumer is an infamous enemy of the Second Amendment. It's not because he's Jewish. It's because he's an enemy of the Second Amendment.
Yeah. Because then there's me.
Correct.
Who is also Jewish and a staunch supporter of the Second Amendment, as you're likely to find.
Yes. And I need to reach out to Yehuda Reamer and get him on.
Oh, yes.
Pew Pew Jew is awesome. He's a wonderful guy.
He is. He's very nice. I've met him.
And actually, I think
if you want another pro Second Amendment Jew, someone we've already had on the podcast, Ben Blatt.
Yes. But the to finish off, I really wanted to finish off with this absolute ridiculousness that I found the other day. Is you will frequently hear anti-Second Amendment people saying, in 1791, all people had was muskets. And the implication is that the founding fathers could not imagine an AR-15, of which is demonstrably false, because two of the founding fathers that helped ratify the Second Amendment was Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin, who were futurists. They were absolutely obsessed with the cutting edge of technology and fantasizing about where will technology go in the future. And we already had repeating firearms and high capacity magazines and things like that existed. They were extremely clunky at that point in time. It wasn't until the invention of smokeless powder that we really were able to get true, semi-automatic repeating firearms.
we did have repeating firearms in the flintlock era. I mean, the Collier revolvers is a perfect example. They were the predecessors to, well, they actually inspired Samuel Colt to come up with his design.
Yep.
But the Collier was a pretty traditional looking revolver in a lot of respects, but it was a flintlock.
Yep.
And they had a variety of other, I would call them stopgaps because the technology wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
But there were a number of other repeating firearms in the flintlock and percussion era. But you're right, smokeless powder made the difference. So I guess we should be thankful to the French for something.
Yeah. Yes. And so, but either way, the point I make is that the argument that the founding fathers could have never envisioned, repeating firearms is ridiculous. Furthermore, Clarence Thomas's excellent NYSERPA test noting how long it was after a new technology was invented. It was that not only could the founding fathers have envisioned that, but when, say, the Henry repeating rifle came about, where it had both a high-capacity magazine and could be rapidly reloading as a lever action.
It was an intermediate cartridge.
Correct. Yeah, it really was.
If you list the features of a Henry rifle, it sounds really familiar compared to an AR-15.
If you step back with the fact that you are physically cycling each shot, right. Though again, if you've seen someone work who's really good with a lever action, or you're really good with a lever action, you can be pretty quick.
Just look up some of the videos of cowboy action shooters, and at no point did anybody have any issue with just regular civilians going into their general store and picking up a Henry repeating rifle and boxes upon boxes of 44 rimfire. Yeah.
So all of these things, this thing is thing. But again, now here we have this AP article. Muskets, like those from 1776, are mostly exempt from today's gun laws. And
let's not get too far ahead, because the inflammatory aspect of the first two paragraphs.
Mm-hmm.
With 165 grains of black powder in the barrel, a 75 caliber Brown Bess flintlock musket like the ones the Redcoats carried in 1776 can hurl a lead ball at a velocity of around 1,000 feet per second. Imagine what that can do to a human body. Now imagine that it's almost completely exempt from gun regulations.
Oh no, the horror.
And this article, I cannot be downplayed on how important this is. This sits right up there with the Beto O'Rourke saying, "Hell yeah, we're coming for your AR-15," and on top of that, everybody on the dais clapping. And at no point in time did anybody challenge him, step aside, go through. No, it was agreeing. Yes, we are going to come for your guns. All we need to do is get the legislation behind it.
And this is not a minor political player. This is the Sorry.
You cut yourself in time.
This is the Associated Press.
Mm-hmm.
This is a major international news organization. This is where most media gets their stories. They are setting the tone. They are not following the lead.
And furthermore, they are not talking about, inline muzzle loaders that, the people that take advantage of the muzzle loading season for deer hunting.
Yeah, those don't fall under that necessarily in some states.
They do.
Federally, yes.
The fact that I was getting at is that, we just did a handgun radio. We were talking about unique guns, and we talked about the Lamont revolver, and the Lamont is, how many shots was it?
9 shots of 42 caliber and 1 shot of 16 to 20 gauge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the Lamont revolver is just an absolute, just force of nature as far as ballistics go. And it's a cap and ball revolver, and so therefore it is completely exempt from federal firearms laws. And so, you could just mail order one, buy one at your local store, and all that. And then, of course, there's all sorts of modern black powder guns to take advantage of the various sporting exemptions that
the
were
loopholes.
Pretty much, because essentially it's getting, there's a bunch of, of arms race that's happening in the hunting world. They're not talking about this. They are talking about literal replica brown bess flintlock.
Not just replica, vintage. If you have an actual 1700s manufactured cap and ball or flintlock rather rifle, that would still fall under this.
Yes. Oh yeah. But what I'm trying to point out is that they are literally, doing the clutching at their pearls for, not even 1776. It's like 1656, I think, was when the brown bess was first came around. That gun was around it was the cutting edge firearm for ages. And they are wringing their hands and going through. And so the idea of them saying, it says 1722, but
it's still well before the American Revolution.
Yeah.
And it was in service for a long time.
Yep. And flintlocks were first showing up in the early 17th century. So this is very, very
early 18th century, which would be the 17th century is the 1600s.
Yeah, I think this is what this article's saying. I'm doing a quick.
Yeah, but you said flintlock was probably. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. Never mind. Yeah. I thought you said percussion.
No.
Never mind.
Yep. But so this is one of those things this is bookmarked in the show notes. Keep this handy along with that beta OLR bit in case there's any people still around saying, oh, the Second Amendment only covered muskets, because guess what? They don't care either. They want restrictions on muskets as well, because anything that shoots bullets. And again, I always note the English laws of and if once they're done with the semi-auto guns and the cartridge guns and then the black powder guns, they'll go after your knives.
Yep. And pointed sticks, and Tennessee already has, but clubs.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually they want you to be completely disarmed and helpless and at the mercy of the government and other criminals.
Yep. And tying into this, I've got a link to the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. Michael Bloomberg, again,
a fully funded.
Yeah. Michael Bloomberg bought himself a school so he can produce research papers that talk about gun control. This in this case, this article is remembering Michael Weer'd, a pioneer of gun violence prevention, and he was the founder of what would later become the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence. I will note that the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence is in fact was actually bought out by the Bloomberg School of Public Health, and they talk about how
were they Handgun Control Inc., or was that somebody else?
Handgun Control Inc. was Brady. They were, let's see.
It's hard to tell who came from and was absorbed into whom. I don't have a program.
But they were founded. Let's see.
I didn't mean to derail you. I just
no. This is exactly where I was going, and I just need you to look it up so that I will be correct on all of that. But so what they don't mention in this article is that Mr. Weer'd, and again, I in no way, shape, or form am I doing this to speak ill on this man's passing. Our heart goes out to his family, but we do need to talk about his legacy as Second Amendment supporters. He founded the National Coalition to Ban Handguns, and this was in the 70s. 1974, and in the 70s there were lots of groups that were there to ban that were trying to ban handguns. That was the 70s was the time trying to push to ban handguns, just as the 90s was the time to push to ban semi-auto rifles. And again, the Brady campaign later it wasn't the Brady campaign because Jim Brady had not been martyred by getting shot.
And his injury being politically twisted by his wife.
Correct. yeah, I mean, there's a lot of comparisons to be made between Jim Brady and Gabby Giffords, both being that they had some pretty good records of being at least somewhat pro Second Amendment, or
at least moderate on it. Yeah.
But having debilitating head injuries and an a documented anti-gun spouse that stepped up. But the Brady campaign was the handgun violence, the one that you said earlier. And so these guys were trying. What's that? Hand controlling. Correct. Yep. And so he started this as a handgun ban group. They don't mention this in the article. They mentioned that he did step back and tapped Josh Horowitz to be his successor, and Josh Horowitz remained with the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence until it was bought out by the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, and Josh Horowitz is currently working for them. And it's just I just wanted to point that out just because it was very interesting to see what they didn't want to talk about, and specifically talking about the fact that this was a group that worked hard to ban AR-15s, hopefully guns that some point in the very near future will be ruled by the Supreme Court that no, keep your damn hands off of them. They are protected arms under the Second Amendment. And before that, they were there to ban handguns, which have been told is absolutely unconstitutional and illegal. And of course, also not talking about the incestuous nature of the gun control groups and how, this group that was totally not related to Everytown or Mayors Against Illegal Guns suddenly got looped into the school that is pretending to be Johns Hopkins University, but is in fact Bloomberg's own school for funding gun control. And is now essentially the Coalition to Stop Gun Violence has been looped into it as staff. And actually, the one last thing on the Bloomberg school is which one of you guys found this one? Because this got thrown in. Is Costas Moros discovered that they have a model policy guide on public carry permitting.
I thought that was Oddball.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Wasn't me.
Was it you, David?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, odd. I was saying, yes, that was me. And yes. The thread on Twix is Kostas Moros, friend of the show, going through and basically fisking it because it is full of lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Yep. Yeah, I especially like the no acknowledgement that constitutional carry has not led to any predicted explosion in violent crime and all that. And again, got a big graphic that says 29 states allow permitless public carry, and it's just I still can't believe that we're in this place where a majority of the states already have just said, yeah, you don't really need a permit,
including 2 of the 4 most populated.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really am looking forward to when we get to, what is it, 33 is the magic for 2/3?
Oh, yeah. Or just at some point where we have enough people pushing for enough people pushing for a national reciprocity, so that your state concealed carry permit will count like your driver's license, and just so long as you're in the United States, I can drive up and down the East Coast. I could drive through New York City. I could drive through Washington D.C. I can drive through New Jersey, and no point in time is anybody going to say, "Hey, what are you doing with that Massachusetts driver's license?" But they will say,
your hands behind your back.
Yeah, exactly. They will say, "Oh, you've got a Massachusetts carry permit? Well, that's a problem. We don't honor those here." Even though the laws are all effectively identical. Essentially, the core principles of how to defend your life is the same in every single state. Really, the differences between the state gun laws is purely nuanced.
Yep. Want to hear something kind of funny?
What's that?
I still have my New York State pistol license. It doesn't have an expiration date.
Oh, nice.
So technically, I could go back to New York carrying any of the guns on that permit. And if I was stopped, I could show them my carry license. But I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and that would be one of those things of the make sure you have a little bit of money stored away for the potential lawsuit.
Well,
because there was also people in
I
Massachusetts.
might not do the time, but I would certainly take the ride.
Yeah, who I'm not sure when they changed the laws before I moved down here, but originally, if you got what was then called the Class C license, which was your firearms identification card, essentially the hunting ID, so you could own low capacity long guns and I believe it was just revolvers. I'm trying to remember which, or maybe no, there was no handguns at all. It's essentially the permit you get if you're 18 to 20, or are just an avid hunter and really only want quote unquote sporting firearms. But that permit had no expiration date. And so there are people in Massachusetts that I am aware of who have firearms and have an old no expiration date FID. And in theory, under full faith and credit, you can't just say, oh no, we changed the law. They just simply added an expiration date to the new ones. So yeah, let's see if there's any other,
but I have no intention of going to New York City ever again, which is sad because I still have family there. And I'd rather not go to New York, but we're probably going next year. But
I will say that if there's
disarmed while there,
if there's one thing, especially if you are younger than us, which I think quite a few of our listeners are, go check out.
I'm waiting for it.
The page that the COSTUS refers to as Scoreboard. Excellent term, and it is public carry policies by state in 1980 and public carry policies by state in 2026. And,
oh yeah, that one.
And in the 1981, there is states that are in green, and the green is no issue. These are states where concealed carry was expressly illegal, and it is a huge swath of the country.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, Maine was no issue.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised.
Most of the middle of the country.
I'm kind of surprised by that because, and it may have actually just been that concealed carry was illegal in Maine, because I believe Maine has always had open carry, without a permit.
Yeah.
But
then the most of the rest of the country was blue, may issue. 4 were shall issue, and Vermont, of course, the outlier, was permitless, as it always was.
But shall issue was extremely rare.
Oh yeah.
But
then the bottom half. Go ahead and tell about that.
Yeah, and the bottom half, they've gone for essentially the top 2 colors, the may issue and no issue, is gone. And so it is only shall issue or permitless. And like I said, more than half of the country is permitless.
But important point, what colors did they choose for permitless in that map?
Red. I see what you're trying to do there, is the blood red.
What they are trying to do is green is the good color, no issue. Blue is still a fairly safe color, may issue.
Yep.
Orange is getting that's the slow down, you're about to stop, shall issue, and then permitless is red, which is danger.
And what's actually great is the in the 1981, the green color lines up quite nicely with the states that are permitless now. And so
There's
I just kind of
did overlap. Yeah.
Yeah. I did just a quick look and just assumed, okay, I see Texas and Alaska, are green, And so, okay, that must be and I didn't see that it was 1980. So I said, oh, that must be the permitless. And look up and see, okay, Maine is also green. I know Maine doesn't require permits. And then I saw New Hampshire and said, what's that color? They're different than the others. That's shall issue. The hell it isn't. It was shall issue, but now it's permitless. And in fact, it was like, oh no, that was in 1980.
Yep. Yeah, I'm hoping this year, I'm hoping that we see at least a couple more states added to their red color. Mm-hmm. There are some major efforts in, I think, North Carolina.
North Carolina, they've been pushing it very, very hard. I haven't been paying that close attention to South Carolina, but if North Carolina gets it, which is
South Carolina already is.
Yeah. Sorry, that's Virginia.
Yep. Yeah, Virginia with the current administration, no. But there's some positive rumblings coming from New Mexico in a couple of recent elections.
Yep.
So who knows? Maybe New Mexico would be one of the next ones. But yeah, there are going to be some particularly tough states. Yeah. And unfortunately, you and Xander live in two of them.
Yep. Well, I think on that note, without a pithy segue, because I just I
believe it's pronounced Sigu.
Yes, I think we have gone on far enough that I will say that we will thank each and every one of our listeners. We really appreciate you guys tuning in the show, and we appreciate the support that you're giving to the Second Amendment, because God knows we need it. But we also have to give a very special thanks to our supporters on Patreon. To be our Patreon patron, go to Assorted Calibers Podcast to sign up, patreon.com/Assorted Calibers Podcast to sign up. And again, it's not a tip jar. We're not blegging. It's a store. We've got bonus content. You can get early release of the podcast. You can get the ACP blooper reels. You got the ACP film tracks. We've almost got 300 movies on it now, and the ACP mag dump.
And a couple of those movies might actually be considered good. And if you become a patron and donate at one of the higher levels, Weird will not send you pictures of his feet.
That's true. You still with us, Aaron?
Yep. Oddball?
Yep.
Also, please remember to rate us on Apple Podcasts and Pocket Casts. Subscribe to us on the platform of your choice and share the show with your friends, both online and off.
I get a blog. It's weirdworld.com. That's WEERDworld.com. And hear me weekly on Handgun Radio on the Firearms Radio Network.
And at least for the moment, you can get more from me at linktree/Aaron Paulette. That's linktree.ee/Aaron Paulette, all one word.
David, where can people find you?
Here as often as possible, Handgun Radio as often as possible, but not quite as often, on the Handgun Radio and Assorted Calibers Podcast Facebook pages. I'm also a contributor on Blue Collar Prepping, which we found at bluecollarprepping.blogspot.com. And I'm a published author, and books with my stories can be found on Amazon under Brennabach and David Bach.
And where can people find you, Oddball?
I have a blog at gunscarstech.com and can also be heard on Handgun Radio on a fairly regular basis, and lurking over at the Handgun Radio and Assorted Calibers Podcast Facebook group.
And thanks to Nate Spencer for our music.
And remember, kids, all laws are essentially threats carried out at gunpoint by the police. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.